Thank you, everyone, for joining the Digital Alarm Revolution. Inside ASAP for future of emergency response. I'm going to turn it over to Karen Carlson.
Thank you, Julie. Hi, everyone. I'm Karen Carlson. Like Julie mentioned, I'm going to talk about the Automated Secure Alarm Protocol, or ASAP, this afternoon. And I'm really honored to be here and to be able to help close out the CAPS 2025 conference. I hope you've enjoyed it as much as I did. It's so much information, and hopefully we can round it out well with information about ASAP. As we begin to launch into the content of this session, I want you to think about 2 minutes. Think about what 2 minutes would do for you if you arrived 2 minutes earlier and your responders would arrive 2 minutes earlier, what that would be like for your responders, for the citizens you're responding to, and the outcomes that they can achieve in that. So as you're thinking about those 2 minutes and you think about what that would be like for your agencies, we're going to play a quick video with an overview of the ASAP solution. This video is going to give a really high-level overview, and then we're going to launch into basically what would happen next, and what our people that are using the ASAP platform are experiencing with it. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to the video.
In emergencies, every second counts. Discover how ASAP revolutionizes emergency response by streamlining communication between alarm monitoring centers and 911 emergency communication centers. Automated Secure Alarm Protocol, or ASAP, is the only industry-created digital alarm service, enhancing the speed and accuracy of emergency responses by automating information delivery to 911 emergency communication centers. Since 2011, ASAP has been instrumental in reducing dispatch times by over 2 minutes per call, minimizing human error, and improving outcomes for millions nationwide. With over 80% of U.S. alarm systems connected, emergency communication centers benefit from ASAP through expedited workflows and reduced call volumes. Discover active ECCs and learn how to integrate ASAP into your operations, and how ASAP reduces call taker overwhelm. Alarm monitoring centers can enhance their service delivery by adopting ASAP, ensuring faster and more accurate emergency dispatches. Ready to enhance your emergency response capabilities? Reach out to our team and learn how ASAP can be integrated into your systems. Join the nationwide movement towards faster, more reliable emergency responses. Visit asap911.org to learn more and get started today.
All right, now that you have that high-level overview, we're going to talk about some of the reasons that both the alarm industry and the public safety industry really kind of got behind creating ASAP back in 2011, actually a little bit before that. But the challenges that are faced by the ECCs, you all know this, right? I mean, my center experienced these back in my day. Since then, they've implemented ASAP. But these are the kind of things that the ECCs, like, they look at the ASAP protocol and they say, this is why we need it. And to be quite honest, the monitoring centers are facing some of these exact same challenges. So your staff is overwhelmed. They have a ton of manual workload, right? They're getting phone calls. They have to transcribe the human voice into data and put them into their computer aided dispatch system. And whenever they're doing that sort of thing, there isn't overload, right? There's a lot of manual workload, but it's also prone to error. As you're transcribing or trying to transcribe the human voice, sometimes it's like, how do you spell Oneida? And getting that in there correctly and getting those things in. So it's really an error prone kind of environment that they exist in today. And those are some of the challenges that we're looking to resolve with ASAP. You have limited resources, right? Staffing shortages is nothing uncommon to ECCs. Even back in my day, ECCs were running short, and I was incredibly short staffed back in that day. And cost constraints, right? Budget has been an issue for a really, really long time in this space. And one of the things that tends to suffer is, getting bodies and getting people in the seats. Some of the national statistics around these things, and you're used to your own statistics, but I just thought I would share some of the national statistics around these challenges. 77% of ECCs are below authorized staffing level. The key is they're below authorized staffing level. So they're already short, and sometimes their staffing level doesn't even match the amount of work that they have coming in. That continues to magnify that issue. Of those that are understaffed, understaffing is averaging about 32%. That kind of varies a little bit. Sometimes we hear a little bit lower, like maybe 15%. Sometimes we're hearing higher, as much as 45%. But in general, it's an average of 32% being short-staffed or understaffed. And then if you think about all the stressors and all the demands that go on in the ECC, in the 911 center, they've got trauma that is addressing them call after call after call and incident after incident, right? So they're experiencing a lot of that. And there's a lot of things like ringing phone calls and, repetitive processes that add to those stressors, which results in approximately 25 to 44% staff experiencing some level of PTSD. And for those reasons, we're really trying to focus in on how to resolve and how to address these kind of stressors and these challenges that you all have. And ASAP can be one of those technologies that helps with that. As Neil, the statement on the screen says, Neil from Broome County, who's had ASAP in place for I think 10 years, is saving about 20 staff hours a month on the phone calls that are directly related to alarms, that back and forth of what needs to happen with the alarms. So just thinking about what is the process today? Remember the days when you had a paper map in your car instead of GPS? Like, how in the world did we survive that, right? In a lot of ways, that's how ASAP is the same or very similar, where thousands of alarm calls today are handled via a 10-digit administrative phone line. And someone at the monitoring center is calling the ECC and verbally giving alarm information to your staff, to your 911 call takers. The process is slow and it's time consuming. And if you think about it, just in nature, right? You're a 911 center. What are you going to prioritize to do first? You're going to answer those 911 calls. So those 911 calls are getting answered first, and that admin line is going to wait until all those 911 calls are handled. And when they get those 911 calls, things are verified for them already, right? The address is, you've got the MSAG address, you've got certain things that are already prioritized for you. So those things are happening before that 10-digit line is even getting answered. I've talked a little bit about prone to transcription error, but I'm just going to slide into the next one a little bit. Who's ever heard of someone verbally giving you what's in a building pre-plan, what's in a picture, what's in a evacuation PDF document, what's in a video screen or a WAV file, right? Today, they can't send you any of that information, that supplemental information that is really critical for your first responders to respond to that incident in the most efficient way possible. So this is how we're handling it today. This is what you're used to. Now, a little bit more about those phone calls that are ringing and causing those additional stressors, right? It's not just one call usually. It's usually one call and they might have some additional information they still need to track down. They might have to go find the key holder or get a second key holder, someone who can respond faster. And then they have to call back again. And sometimes they have to sit in that ring mode or that callback mode. Or your dispatcher may have already dispatched units to that incident and now they need to call back, right? So that back and forth are all additional phone calls that are happening in the center and causing more time and more stress in the situation. So a little bit more about what is the automated secure alarm protocol. And this is where I'm going to hone in on the specific details about the service itself. Some of you may have remember hearing it called ASAP to PSAP. We only call it ASAP now. And that's because we can do a whole lot more than just a primary 911 center. We can do a fire dispatch center. We can do a private response center, things like that. So we just call it ASAP now. And it truly is a two-way communication platform. I like to describe this like a CAD to CAD interface. The difference is in the CAD to CAD interface, you've got a CAD on one end and on the other end, and you've got a hub in the middle, right? The difference is on one end, you've got an alarm automation software system. You've got our hub in the middle and you've got the CAD on the other end. So it's very similar to that type of interface. And basically it is truly two-way. We're receiving digital alarm requests for service from the alarm automation software. We're processing it through our hub and we're directly embedding it, or I should say creating an incident in your CAD system that allows you to open it up, see the details, and dispatch it. This protocol has been around since 2011. Not a single ECC has chosen to leave the platform since the platform has been created and started accepting alarms through it. It was developed by public safety and the alarm monitoring industry for those benefits and to solve those challenges that I talked about earlier. The ASAP protocol is owned by the Monitoring Association. So when you think about the Monitoring Association, it is a nonprofit association for the alarm industry, very similar to what APCO is to the public safety industry. So it is owned by them today. They are a nonprofit, but they have 80% of the alarm systems in the US that are monitored by an alarm company that is connected to this service or able to be connected to this service. Like the video said, over 63 million people are already being serviced by this platform and getting faster response to them. And that just means better outcomes for both the alarm company and the public safety agency that's responding to them. And on an average, it's an average of 2 minutes. So we've had some people that have analyzed this and it's been as many as 8 minutes. Sometimes it might be slightly less than that, but they're really seeing maximum benefit in not only response, but time saved in the center, which we'll talk more about. You'll see some of the bigger monitoring centers listed across the bottom of the screen here. These are all very active monitoring centers in TMA, but we have a total of 36 alarm monitoring centers that are part of this platform. And we have several that are waiting in queue to be onboarded as well. So that number is just going to continue to grow and we'll get more alarms able to go across the platform and be digitally delivered. So first I want to kind of talk about reducing the call burden and really, taking reducing that call burden, which will then improve outcomes. ASAP clearly saves time from what I had been, mentioning here. That time of being in the ring mode and waiting to be answered or on hold is now reduced. That time for repeat phone calls back and forth between the centers is now reduced. So it's clearly saving time. And by automatically putting that alarm information into CAD with a pre-verified address means that when your dispatcher opens it up, he or she already knows who to send and based on the incident type of the alarm, what units to send. So it's really improving and shaving so much time off of not only the entry, but the dispatching of it. It's eliminating those delays because of the manual processes, but it's also a streamlined implementation. It's an easy two-way flow between the alarm company and your ECC. So don't just take it from me, but we have Bob Finney, who from Collier County, Florida, Sheriff's Office, who handles about 23,000 alarm calls per year. And he's analyzed that they save 24 12-hour shifts per year by implementing ASAP. So Bob, can you tell us more about this?
In 2014, we began to look at how we could shorten response times to emergency incidents and also deal with some of the staffing shortages that are predominant around the ECC community. One of the low-hanging fruits was the nearly 27,000 alarm calls we received each year. Of course, these alarm calls come in on non-emergency lines, but they're still being answered by the same folks that are answering the 911 calls. So how could we take some of that burden, some of that call volume off of those emergency call takers and use technology to receive the same result and possibly even save time on our responses if that was possible? So we looked at the ASAP service to see if this would be of benefit to us. Not only has it reduced response times, but it has saved us, just those 30% of those alarm calls each month are saving us almost 25 full 12-hour staff positions per year. We've been on the system for 8 years now and would never, ever turn back to the way we were doing things before.
Awesome. Thank you, Bob. And by the way, there'll be a quiz at the end to identify the stat errors that I had versus what Bob said in the video. So if you paid attention to what I said and what Bob said, we'll take it more from there. All right. So let's talk a little bit about speed. ASAP is really all about accelerating that workflow through eliminating phone calls, especially repeat back and forth phone calls, and that voice relay from the alarm monitoring center to your telecommunicator who's answering that call. It's really about cutting dispatch time from minutes to seconds. And depending upon your CAD protocols, you may have, experience more down to seconds than minutes than based on how you can set up your CAD system. So Jeff Carney, who's the director at Hamilton County, Tennessee, don't just take it from me. We're going to hear from Jeff to hear how he reduced his staff time, reduced unnecessary calls, and just improving the overall real-time communication.
Examples of how ASAP has improved the service. We get calls so much quicker now. Sometimes before even the neighbors or anybody can call to report a fire or smoke in the area. And just think of the time that's been saved from the alarm company having to enter the call on their side, then call us, and our call taker have to enter that stuff into the computer. It gets emergency services there so much faster. One of the many reasons we chose to implement ASAP, we get a lot of severe storms in Southeast Tennessee, and we get covered up with calls from alarm companies where alarms are activated during those storms. Since we implemented ASAP, all those calls stopped coming in. Our telecommunicators can focus on emergencies at that time. We're still getting the alarm calls delivered through ASAP, and we're still able to respond to them in kind. What I would say to my colleagues in 911 that are considering going to ASAP is there is no bad side to it. It's all positives. It saves your people time. It reduces the calls for service that they have to answer, and it gives you better information in real time over CAD.
Yeah, thanks. And one of the things, remember I had talked about how your CAD system is configured. That storm mode that Jeff was talking about, that is really, really key. If you're in an area where you're getting a lot of calls during a tornado, thunderstorm, hurricane, whatever it may be, if you can configure the alarms to go straight into storm mode, huge benefit that you can enable with ASAP. So just a little bit more about accuracy. I mentioned this a couple of times already. Just that elimination of errors from voice transcription or translation of information. even if there's, you know, a slang or something like that, and you've got to interpret that. I gave, you know, one example earlier, but you know, there's many streets in our country that, you know, have odd spelling. And how often do you hear people say, oh, just use common spelling? But that doesn't work when we're trying to put that into the computer aided dispatch system. So that accuracy that ASAP brings and that lends to the speed and everything else we're talking about is just critical. Uh, Actually, that accuracy is really what results in improved outcomes and having the right people respond, or the right type of units to respond to the right location, and getting them there at the right time for the best outcome. It's about delivering not only accurate basic information like address, business name, type of alarm, things like that, but it's also about that supplemental data and bringing that supplemental data directly into CAD. So if you're now going to get rich data, which rich data is a video clip, a photo, a WAV file, an audio file that might have been happening, or most of them have building pre-plans and evacuation plans, things like that. Those can now get transmitted across the ASAP platform directly into your computer aided dispatch. Now think about what your first responders' life is like when they have those resources right at their fingertips as they're responding or as they arrive and the incident responder is on scene. So it's all about getting more and accurate data into the system. And lastly, when we roll out ASAP, we pre-verify addresses so that we know that when it gets to your computer aided dispatch system, it is going to create an incident with the right units to respond, the right agency to respond, and get the fastest location there. So Carrie Morrissey from Anoka County, Minnesota, Communications Center has experienced more than 30 hours per month of staff time in these alarm phone calls. And we're going to hear more from Carrie.
Our Emergency Communications Center processes approximately 1,000 calls a day, with about a third of those being 911 calls. We implemented the ASAP service in 2019. The benefits our center has: quicker processing times because the calls go right into our pending queue. We don't have address errors because there's not the human factor involved. We have an automated fire dispatch, so the calls are dispatched much faster on the fire side. During storms, we don't have phones ringing when citizens are calling, so the alarms are popping into our queue a lot faster. Overall, it's been a great benefit for us and our public safety partners. A specific example that's benefited us with ASAP is a fire alarm that came in through the ASAP program. We initiated fire dispatching in 11 seconds because of the protocol that we have. And the fire chief was arriving on scene at the same time that the homeowner called us reporting her house on fire. We were then able to start additional help immediately, and it was a much quicker response since we didn't have the phone call involved. For call centers that are looking to reduce the call load on your callers, increase alarm company response times, and increase public safety and citizen safety, you should really consider ASAP.
All right. Great information from everybody so far, and we've got a little bit more to share about efficiency and how ASAP results in efficiency for your operators and your agencies that respond. So it's all about that call processing time reduction. So not only are we eliminating the phone call and the amount of time it takes to answer the phone call, then to take the information verbally and put it into CAD and then get it over, but also those calls back and forth. From a dispatching perspective, the information is going straight from our broker into your CAD system. So if you are an ECC that has CAD to CAD, it's that fast. It's just like when you get your neighboring agency's incident for response, for mutual aid response. So it is about automatically creating it and getting the unit recommendations immediately and then sending. There are some agencies that have, in the fire situation, they have auto dispatching enabled in their CAD system. That improves that dispatching time even further if you have a CAD system that can support that and you have it configured. Stronger accuracy is obviously key to efficiency. When you are getting the right information the first time, it just means your efficiency is going to skyrocket. And that is such a strong thing for your center. And then fewer errors due to address validation. I mentioned earlier, but I'll say it again. We pre-verify addresses, and we do that for a really solid reason, is because we want to make sure that when your CAD system gets it, it can create that incident without an issue, and you are getting the right recommendations immediately. And then improved outcomes. And I'm going to get to the question in the comments in just a minute when I talk about that. So when those fewer address errors means that it's going to get in, that incident's going to get created immediately and it's going to get generated right away. So in just like in the case of the CAD to CAD, the dispatcher in one CAD system is manually entering the incident information and making a choice or a keystroke to send it over to the other side. In the case of an ASAP alarm, the alarm monitoring center is getting the information from the alarm system digitally into their automation software. And once they've triaged the incident and determined that they need to dispatch public safety, they have a little key on their automation software that says send to ASAP. They click that button and digitally it goes into the ASAP broker and into the CAD system of the receiving ECC of that alarm. So hopefully that answered your question, Kanaya. And we're going to let Brent, who has a lot more to say about ASAP, how his agency has gained efficiency. They've experienced a reduction of more than 40 seconds on fire and EMS calls and more than 30 seconds on police-related alarm calls.
Between our two ECCs, Glenview Public Safety Dispatch answers approximately 350 911 calls a day. The benefits that we've seen with ASAP is the call processing time reduction, the accuracy of the calls, and the reduction of calls both inbound and outbound. Our fire and EMS have seen a reduction of 40 seconds in the call processing times, police 30 seconds. Our telecommunicators love the reduced number of phone calls, both inbound and outbound, and the reduction of the chances of making errors through address verification in a live call. In the short time that we've been with ASAP, we've seen many successes, but one that I can recount right now is we had an elderly patient who fell and used her medical alert button. We were already dispatching units prior to her caretaker calling 911. With the introduction of ASAP into our center, unlike most technologies that get introduced, if it's good, you don't hear anything. In the situation of ASAP, we've heard some tremendous appreciation from our telecommunicators for making their life better. The ASAP solution is a critical part to our public safety response.
Awesome. Now, those are just a few of the video testimonials. I'm also going to talk about a few, from a few agencies that we don't have videos on, but I'm just going to kind of jump around the screen a little bit here, and you all can, we can send you this information if you want it. Chief Burso from Tampa, basically they made the decision to implement ASAP to gain efficiency, precision, and increase effectiveness. So a lot of the themes that we've talked about today were the primary reasons that they look to do that, and they actively look for technology that can help them in this way. And they went live with ASAP early this year. Lisa from Chagrin Valley, 12 days on the platform, and they handled more than 554 alarms through the protocol. Just really streamlining their processes and their environment and reducing that dispatcher workload. We've got Michelle Brandt at Riverside, City of Riverside, who did some analysis and have 33 hours of savings per month based on the number of alarms that they take and the number of phone calls that they take, really allowing their dispatchers to focus on the 911 calls and the high call volume peak times. Joel at AdCom, ASAP is about saving lives and property. That's his bottom line. Really kind of enabling them to streamline dispatch processes and really focus on lives and property. Allie at Phoenix, ASAP is about reducing call volume, really giving them that added, I'll call it relief, to the staff in their dispatch center. And lastly, I'll emphasize, and you heard this from number one of our video testimonials as well, but Paul at Owensboro in Kentucky received the fire alarm and responded before the school even realized that they had smoke and needed fire response. So just a few more quick testimonials about how ASAP is working for ECCs, and the reason that none of the ECCs that have joined ASAP since 2011 have left the platform and still stay on the platform. So we're going to next kind of talk about the CAD vendors and the widespread support that we have amongst the CAD vendors. Right now, there's two platforms for ASAP. The first platform is our legacy ASAP connection, which is through NLITS, or I should say in the NLITS data center. Here's a handful of CAD vendors that are, have active implementations or integrations through that message broker. And then on the other side, we have what we call our ASAP Direct API development partners. I want to talk a little bit about what that means first before I talk about these CAD vendors. So when Mission Critical Partners got involved with ASAP about a year and a half ago, one of the things that we did was refresh the infrastructure of ASAP, and we created a second broker that sits in the AWS GovCloud. Doing that really enabled us to have that direct connection and have a standardized connection between ASAP and the CAD vendor. And I should even say further than that, the CAD brands underneath each of those vendors. So that was a huge enhancement for us. And we brought the first ECC live on that system in early October. And these are really our partners that have been actively working with us to build this interface. Motorola worked with us out of the gate to build that direct API. So we call them our platinum development partner because they were really kind of, spearheading this direct API connection. Hexagon as well also jumped on board quickly and built the direct API, making them what we call a gold partner. The other companies that are represented here really are actively engaged with us. They're all silver partners for us from a development perspective because they're getting ahead of this and getting this ready for their clients to be able to go direct. So really, just a strong adoption from our CAD community. Now, if you're sitting there saying, "Hey, but my CAD vendor is not listed on this in this chart," that's okay. Because one of the keys to us doing what we did and refreshing the infrastructure and allowing this direct connect was to make that a standard API. It doesn't need to be customized state by state or vendor by vendor. So it's a kind of a one and done for each one of the CAD vendors. And it's a pretty common, straightforward, modern technology API. So it's pretty easy for any CAD vendor to pick that up and run with it and build that to be connected. So if your CAD vendor isn't here, that's okay. We engage with them and we get that built out because that's what the AWS GovCloud refresh has done for us and for ASAP and for all of you and the other CAD vendors. They are also building that interface to use the standard XML interface so that it's it's standards based. It'll go straight into your CAD system based on that data structure. So, excuse me, all good things that have come with all of the momentum we've built up this past year for ASAP. So I did mention standards, and I did mention earlier that this is a standards-based protocol between the Monitoring Association and APCO International. We also incorporate a standard from the Monitoring Association called AVS-01, and they're soon to announce ATN-01. What AVS-01 is it's a way to triage, so kind of like medical triage, but triage alarms in a way that communicates to them the level of threat and basically how you should respond. ATN is all about shot detection or threat detection, excuse me, And then there also will be a fire protocol that's coming out similarly in nature. So when you think about a standard, and ASAP specifically, it's comparable to what I3 is from NENA for telephony, or P25 to APCO for radio systems. This is just a standard, comparable standard that's called ASAP. It's an APCO standard, and it's basically creating that level playing field to make this something that's everyone can implement. So a little bit more about AVS-01. AVS-01 is it's specific to law enforcement. It is a security law enforcement alarm event scoring categories. And I'm really only going to focus in on one kind of section. We can share with you the link to get to all the details behind AVS-01. So AVS-01 has 5 levels, level 0 through level 4. Level 0 is things that they've determined just don't even need to get dispatched at all. So they never dispatch those. They're given protocols as far as how to evaluate if it's a level 0, and then they don't even dispatch them or request public safety response. A level 1 means that, my apologies, everybody, give me a second to just grab a drink of water. Level 1 means they have enough data to determine that it's a real alarm and that they should dispatch responding units or law enforcement. Again, this dispatch is all about law enforcement related alarms, and that's what they're, basically that's where this triage is all about. They're training the monitoring centers to make these assessments, and then the monitoring center basically makes that move up through the different levels of response needed. Level 2 is they've confirmed that there's human presence on site, but maybe that human presence hasn't responded, but there also isn't any threat to property that's being witnessed or things like that. Obviously, the next level up is level threat to property, and then a threat to life. So when those incidents are coming across the ASAP protocol, your CAD system is going to receive that AVS-01 score, and you can make dispatch recommendations based on that severity level. Obviously, you'll weigh that in with your normal standard protocols for response, but it's another piece of data that helps you respond in the right way. So I'm going to kind of summarize now. In summary, you've heard not only from me, but several ECC directors that are live and have been live with ASAP for quite some time. We've heard that it reduces time, it improves responses, it reduces workload and the chance of human error, right? This protocol was built by the industry leaders, right? The industry associations that are key to the alarm industry and to the public safety industry. And they did this because they wanted to achieve the highest adoption rate of this protocol, and to be able to solve the challenges that both industries really have the strongest in their both areas. The only way to save time is to expedite and improve the workflow of staff. Really, that's the biggest thing, and that's what technology is all about. It's about increasing that efficiency and really kind of expediting and improving the workflow. And in this case, we're doing it in a standards-based protocol. It is standards-based from every aspect, right? The ANSI level protocol, APCO improved, and TMA owns and manages this standard and this technology. So with that, I'm going to just kind of close out with sharing with you some contact information. If you want to learn more information, you can reach out to asap911.org. That is our website, and we have a lot of information out on that website. Or you can email us at info@asap911.org. We also have a LinkedIn channel, a Facebook page, as well as a YouTube channel, which a lot of our videos that you saw today are available there, and many more as well. So with that, I'll open it up for any questions. All right, looks like Kimberly Kahn, thanks for the enforcement here. Really does work great. Which agency are you with, Kimberly? All right. I am not seeing anything else come through. So, oh, wait, there we go. Anything for 988. Unfortunately, at this time, this is really dedicated to be an alarm protocol. Now, if we don't integrate 988 into this, if there was a medical alarm that came off of a personal emergency device, and it had a physical address to it, we definitely would take those type of medical calls across. But as far as the integration with the 988 phone calls itself, there's no integration there right now. And Kimberly, PBSO, so integration with Premier One. Great to have you here today. All right. Any other questions, folks? All right. Well, thank you all for attending this afternoon. We really appreciate your time and attendance and attention. Take good care.